Happy New Year's, Sparks! My name is Chris. Welcome back to Sparkplug TV. I have literally chosen the coldest freaking day. It's like 28 degrees out right now. My hands are not only chapped, but they're also just really freaking cold. But today is gonna be an especially dope video, not only because I'm reviewing this stunning 2022 Volvo XC60, but also because I finally have a sponsor! Yes! I finally have a sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Johnson Volvo Cars Durham. Located 5 minutes from South Point Mall off of I-40. Johnson Volvo Cars Durham is the #1 volume Volvo dealership in North Carolina. Click the link below to find out more information. Okay, so introducing the 2022 Volvo XC60 B5 Inscription, or just X60 if you're nasty.
How dare you!
The second generation XC60 was the top-selling Volvo model in 2018, but was beat out by its smaller counterpart, the XC40, in 2021. This Scandinavian compact crossover SUV has a few mid-gen updates for the 2022 model year. For starters, the front end has got a little bit of a different vibe to it. It's got these slotted plastic pieces as opposed to the singular piece that kind of arched up and went that way. This piece is a little bit more linear, the silver piece right here. The back end doesn't have the dual exhaust look that the 2021 and older models looked like. I think they're probably trying to shy away from the gas-powered look, and they're trying to go for more of the hybrid look, as I'll get into that more later. And for the 2022 model year, you also do get a couple of new wheel updates. And there's also some more interior updates as well, but I'll get into that once we get there. The XC60 has a base price of $42,650 in the US and can be optioned all the way up into the 70s for the super high-end T8 Polestar plug-in hybrid. This specific XC60 has a sticker price of $55,154, and you get to choose from 3 trims: the standard Momentum, the slightly more luxurious Inscription, that's this one, and the more butch R design. All models now come standard with a mild hybrid system, not medium or hot, just mild.
Chip away my life.
Jokes aside, the mild hybrid system houses the gas-powered engine coupled with a 48-volt battery in the trunk that offers 13 extra horsepower and enhances the auto start-stop functionality of the vehicle. And we all know how much I hate start-stop. I'll get into it later, but it's actually pretty decent on this one. So from there, you can either choose the B5 or the B6. The B5 has a front-wheel drive powertrain, or for an extra $2,300, you can have the all-wheel drive powertrain coupled to a turbocharged 2.0-liter 4-cylinder engine that outputs 247 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. And all models come with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Oh, it's so cold! The Momentum trim does not, however, offer the supercharged B6 version of the same 2.0-liter 4-cylinder engine, but the supercharged B6 engine outputs 295 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Now, the engine is only offered in the Inscription and the R-Design trims, and the B6 is also strictly all-wheel drive. This specific B5 model, however, has the front-wheel drive powertrain with the turbocharged 2-liter. It gets 0 to 60 in about 6.6 seconds and a top speed of 137 miles per hour. So I mean, if I lost you on any of the explanation on the trim levels, here they all are laid out all nice and neat like. I swear, if this wind doesn't die down. So, fuel economy is pretty decent. It gets 23 in the city and 30 on the highway, and it does, of course, take premium gas. With today's gas prices, not super ideal, but I mean, it does sip, it doesn't gulp, as you would expect from a compact SUV. I need to get those, like, mitt warmers, you know? I hate to sound like an old coot, but like back in my day, I don't really remember Volvos like being this luxurious. Nowadays, I mean, the Volvos are just insanely luxurious, and they definitely, in terms of style and design, keep up with their main competitors of BMW and Mercedes. The headlights alone are the coolest feature of the front end of the car. I read somewhere when I was doing research, somebody described this as the LED running light looks like Thor's hammer. And I completely agree. It's insanely stunning. When you turn on the left turn signal or the right turn signal, it just completely turns into the turn signal. I do like the newer kind of look to it on the 2022 model. I like that linear chrome piece that I was talking about earlier. If you were to get the 360 camera view of your car, there would be a camera right there. As well as if you were in colder climates, you could get an optional electrical heated Volvo emblem that would keep snow off of the front end of the cameras. It's not too ostentatious, it's not too gaudy, it's like just the right amount of lines. You know, it's the right amount of chrome. It's just chef's kiss. I love the front end of this car. It's so gorgeous to me. You wouldn't expect it coming down the road because you would expect something like aggressive and sexy from like BMW or Mercedes, but you know, from a Volvo, you're not really expecting like the way that this is styled. When the XC60 originally came out, it had the headlights here and then it had these vertical running lights right here and then right here. Around like 2010, 2011, they moved the running lights down to here, you know, to kind of look more modern. The new design language is definitely as modern as it gets. This XC60 also does have the climate package, which I'm surprised, again, it doesn't have the heated emblem on the front, but the climate package does include the high pressure headlight washer. So if you're in Sweden and it's really snowy on your car, you can just blast all the snow away. Or if it's really rainy and muddy, you're going off-roading in this, which I don't think anybody is, but if you are, you can clean off the headlights. Like imagine like off-roading at night in a Volvo XC60. Why would you do that to yourself?
Chloe, it's not my fault, not my fault. Oh my god. I don't know my seatbelt on.
So for the back end, it looks like a regular Volvo with these super extended taillights. It looks like a station wagon jacked up, you know, but it has created its own kind of image in this SUV form. Automatic liftgate, decent amount of storage in the back. Surprised to see that there's a spare tire in the back. Most new cars don't have spare tires to try to save on fuel economy, and they do offer roadside assistance, but yeah, I'm surprised to see that there's a spare tire back there. All right, welcome to my favorite part about the XC60, the interior. Holy shit, y'all, this car is so nice on the inside. I'm flabbergasted. I just love every material in this car is just so nice to touch. You know, they really paid attention to detail with everything, and you can tell it's like what Tesla wants to be, but it hasn't gotten there yet. I mean, because if you think about it, every car nowadays has a fully digital gauge cluster, a iPad-like, tablet-like infotainment system. Just like the exterior, the interior, the design is just mwah. Ooh, just chef's kiss. I mean, from the Napa leather dashboard with the stitching to this wood grain that has texture to it. The Harman Kardon sound system has even its own kind of material. And then the stainless steel, very ergonomical. You just put your fingers in there and you pull it for the door handle. Cute little fun fact, for the 2022 model, they actually put a little Swedish flag insignia on right below the passenger vent. And they also have a little Swedish flag like right here. It's like boop, boop, boop. A little cute little flag. So let's start with the center console. So the center console, again, with this Napa leather and the stitching. On the inside, they've upgraded from the USB-A inputs to the USB-C for faster charging. There's two of them here, and then there's two in the back as well for the back passengers. There is this sexy wood grain for where the cup holders are as well. Pull it back, push this forward. There is a power outlet right here, and then a little cove that you can put like your change in if you still carry change, as well as there is a charging pad for your phone. In terms of the command center, in terms of like the shifter and the start stop, it's really cool. It's trimmed with this silver lining. The shifter, so because this is the Inscription package, the shifter knob, well, first of all, in 2021, they had just a regular like shifter, but for the new 2022 models, you do have this like knob. If you get the Inscription package, it does come with this Orifors Sweden crystal, okay? If you get the other package, it's not this crystal. So this just is like, hey, look at me, I've got enough money for a little crystal knob. The start-stop button is not really like a start-stop button, it's more of a knob that you twist. It's kind of giving me Saab vibes. Shout out Saab, I really miss you. The infotainment system has been updated for the 2022 model as well. You do have the Google Assistant now in this vehicle. Okay, Google, what's the temperature outside?
In Durham, it's currently 37 degrees. Due to current wind conditions, it feels like it's 30.
Yeah, it really does. It controls every aspect of the car. You can control the climate control, you can control the heated steering wheel, you can control the heated and cooled seats. Pretty cool. You know, the infotainment screen is very responsive. It's just like an iPad or any kind of tablet. There's a couple complaints about it. You know, it's not the most intuitive outright. The system, you know, you really do have to kind of play around with it and figure out what it is that you're looking for. The Google Assistant does help with that. It's not as intuitive. I think if you own this car for a couple of years, like a couple of years down the road, like, yeah, you would get a hang of it. But I think for the first couple of months, you're gonna be like, what the hell? The 2021 model had different drive modes. They had a drive mode selector. In this one, there's no drive mode selector. In the settings mode, you can select an off-road setting, but that's about it. There's a new advanced driving sensor system in this car, and you are able to turn off the lane keep assist, the road sign info, you know, that you can have in your gauge cluster, as well as you can change the feel of the steering wheel. Just like of iPads of old, there is a tactile home button. Everything else is touchscreen. There is a notification center for like if you get a text message or something like that. So it's off the Android-based system. There is Apple CarPlay, but from what I've read and what I've been told, it's a little bit difficult for you to kind of integrate the Apple CarPlay with the Google Assistant. So if you're a diehard Apple fan, you know, you can't use Apple Maps with your voice. And I don't know if you're able to use Siri or not, but I don't think that it really is as integrated because it's an Android-based system. I will say that, like, if you have Google Maps like I do, but I have an iPhone, you know, you can sign into Google Maps on here and have all of your saved addresses on there, as well as you can sign into Spotify if you have Spotify. This does have 4G LTE, but something really cool to me about this sound system is that you can actually aim the sound solely at the driver, or you can aim it solely in the back. You can click a button and it will direct all of the sound solely on the driver. These buttons up here, they're all just like these touch buttons, but my favorite part about this car that literally is so geeky, but it's the way that you can control the panoramic moonroof. It's no button, it's just a gesture that you make with your hand. I mean, you do have to touch it, but it's still just a gesture. You glide your finger back through it, it'll glide the shade back, but then if you just touch it, it'll pop the roof, and then if you touch it again, it'll put it back down. Then if you pull it all the way back again, it will then retract the moonroof. I think that is so friggin' cool. Now for the gauge cluster is fully digital. You do have the option of keeping it just gauge cluster with the tachometer and the speedometer, or you can project Google Maps as like the entirety of that screen. Now, for it being an all digital gauge cluster, it only has those two options. You don't have the ability to project the media onto it. The trip log is this separate menu. You can't just have it up there. Like the infotainment system, it's not the most intuitive thing to kind of figure out. It doesn't have adaptive cruise control, but it does have the adaptive cruise control buttons, but they're just dummy buttons. So they're not really there for anything. I think that's kind of a funny flaw to this car. I mean, like, why would you keep those buttons on there? I mean, it also has this really cool button that when you click it up or you click it down, there's a picture of the seat on the screen, and it's how you kind of operate the lumbar controls on the seat. You can also have the leg rest come forward and stuff like that, but that's pretty intuitive. Truth be told, I did have to move the seat up a little bit so that I could fit here in the back, but this car does have heated back seats as well as a 4-zone automatic climate control system. So now that I've done the interior and the exterior, let's take her out for a spin, shall we? Okay, BB, let's get going. Again, I love being in this cabin. It is just so plush. The steering wheel feels so nice in my hand. You can kind of feel the front wheel drive when you're accelerating. It's not my favorite. I do kind of wish I had the all-wheel drive powertrain, especially when you're speeding up, you can feel it. In some front wheel drive cars, you can't always feel it, but in this one, definitely can. Okay, Google, tell me a joke.
What do you get when you cross a shoe with a banana?
What?
A slipper.
Oh, I hated that. It was so bad. All right, so the engine has turned off. I'm in a stoplight, obviously. I am going to then, once the light turns green, obviously hit the accelerator if I'm paying attention. It should just briskly, yeah, see? It's almost like, it feels like the engine wasn't even off to begin with, and I love that. Because I hate start-stop. I think it is, I understand what it's used for, right? It's used for Apparently I don't. It's used for lowering emissions, conserving gas as well. A lot of times when you have the start-stop feature, it turns off and then it like takes like at least a second or two to turn the engine back over, and then you can go. And then sometimes, like, especially like in Jeeps or Volkswagens and stuff, when you do the start-stop thing, it'll like jolt you forward and you're like, oh God, like what the hell? But with this, it's so smooth, it's instantaneous, and it's chef's kiss. I think with the suspension, it's not as smooth as I'd like it to be for a luxury car. You can definitely feel a lot of the bumps and stuff. I think maybe if you had the optional air suspension that it would be a little bit smoother. Not too sure. I haven't driven that one obviously, but the suspension, I mean, I expect a little bit more from the suspension, but it's not bad. We're gonna do a quick turn here, a little tight turn. Handle pretty well. You can feel the body rolling a little bit, but it does handle pretty well, I would say. You know, the steering is responsive. I can turn on steering feeling firm. I feel firm when I get in this car, honey. Yeah, that does make it feel more responsive. Yeah, I like that. When you bury the accelerator though, I think another qualm that I have is with the transmission. It's not that smooth. You can feel the transmission like clunking down. Maybe it's different when you have manual mode. Oh, I've been on this road before. When you go from 0 to 60, the transmission's not bad. When you're going like 50 miles an hour and you mash on the accelerator, it is a little clunky when it downshifts. One thing I do like about this as well is the steering assist doesn't make any weird beeping noises. It doesn't like flash in your face or anything. It does just kind of guides you along. If you're getting off the lane, like it'll just like gently bump you back, like, oh girlie, sorry, you gotta get back in the lane. This does have automatic high beams. Love that. Love automatic high beams. I just love being in this car, man. It is just, it's so regal. Okay, final thoughts. So like I was saying, the interior is just so luxurious. I cannot get over the quality of all the materials, how comfortable it is, how ergonomical this chair is. I would never not be uncomfortable in this thing. The attention to detail with like even just the smallest little detail with the Swedish flags, the crystal shifter, and the simplicity and the minimalism of it. Some things that could probably be improved upon. The infotainment system. It's never been kind of the pinnacle of the infotainment systems in the automotive industry, but I think it's getting there. I mean, especially with the added touch of the Google Assistant, I think that the Google Assistant does help it. But again, if not to beat a dead horse, but if you are an Apple stan, you're not going to like that so much. The gauge cluster, it is just a blank screen without the map behind it. I wish it was just a little bit different, you know? I would just buy this car on the styling alone. It's so unique. Everybody's got a Mercedes, everybody's got a BMW. Like, if you want to be different, buy a Volvo, man. I mean, if you can forgo like the ultra smooth ride of a Mercedes or a BMW, but look like you're in one of those, I mean, go for it. So thanks again for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I will see you guys next time. Happy New Year and goodbye. Zaijian. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Adios. Wow, I'm smart. Hey Sparks. Thanks for watching today's video. If you want more Sparkplug TV content, click right here. Right here. You got two options. Choose one, or both.